Technology is evolving, no one can deny it. It's a fact, and today I'm going to introduce you to the future of our technology. Drone racing. I have been a pilot for 3 years now, and will not give up the hobby for the world. Some people don't understand how it's fun, and others find it a nuisance. However, today I'm here to persuade you that drone racing is a sport like any other that's growing in the community among all ages. You may have a liking for drones but do not understand how they work, or how to get into the hobby. This will all be explained later in the documentary. First of all, I have arranged to meet with some advanced drone pilots who are willing to share their views on drone racing and why you should see it as a sport rather than just toys. How did you get into drone racing?
I got into flying drones because a friend of mine had seen it on YouTube and thought it was cool. So he kept on at me saying we should get a drone, we should both get drones and start flying these drones. But I was against it at the time, didn't really think it was a good idea living in England and not really having the weather to go out and fly. You're not really thinking you're going to be able to fly it very often, but he persuaded me to get one, and I've just been flying them ever since then, really. That was about 3 years ago now.
Mike got me into it somehow. I was working down the shop here, and Mike kept coming in moaning about FPV sort of cameras and FPV receivers and power supplies and things like that. So that's sort of flying around with one of his quads sort of got me into it.
So I was looking at it on Sky. There's the Drone Racing League. They started throwing it out on G Sports. So I was watching that, and it looked really good. I've been playing with RC cars since I was at school, so looked really interesting. Watched that, got all the bits on the internet to build one. Then I found some of the guys locally and appeared here.
What makes you enjoy drone racing?
I don't know. It's like playing a computer game basically, but in real life. So yeah, I've always been into racing, but I can't afford a go-kart, and I can't afford a race car, I can't afford a motorbike. It gets really expensive to try and get into those sports. You can do the same thing, but with a little drone. You can build them for £50. Obviously you need goggles and everything else, but for 50 quid you can buy a little drone to fly around, and you have a lot of fun with it.
It's basically the thrill of speed without getting hurt, and it's the ability to sort of feel like you're flying. There's nothing really else like it.
I'm competitive at heart, really, I suppose. So I just enjoy racing. So it was finding something that I could race against other people locally.
How would you suggest a beginner could get into drone racing?
I always say the best way to get into it is to buy a transmitter, a controller, buy a good one, and then just buy a simulator and play it on your PC. Plug your controller into your PC and learn how to fly on a simulator. That's the best way to get into it, because then if you think it's kind of boring after a while, you haven't spent all the money on a drone, and you might not be able to get your head around the controls. And it's a good way to dip your toe in the water, really.
The best thing to do is obviously join up with a group of people. You'd be better off with a localised group that sort of organises races, a bit like we do in Cornwall, and there are groups everywhere in the UK. You're better off starting with one of those rather than just going out and sort of getting something going from there.
So probably the best way I would suggest is to get an affordable controller and then try the simulators. Computer simulators, that way if you crash it doesn't cost you anything. There's also a number of eSheen micro drones that you can use in the house. Very inexpensive, come with most of the stuff you need, and I think they're a very affordable way of trying it out.
What would you say is a good beginner drone?
Probably something like we're flying here today, like just a little tiny Whoop, something that you can fly indoors. There's got protection around the propellers, so you can just bounce off the walls and whatnot. You're not going to hurt anybody or damage anything, and you can have fun with those and still race with them. So
something like a Wizard, or even the little QX95s, things like that, are quite useful for learning with.
As I was saying to you earlier, I like the eSheen UK 65, which is a micro drone. Comes with a lot of the gear that you need to do it.
How difficult is it to fly?
I don't know. It's hard to say. It's quite a while ago when I learnt to fly. At the time, I'd say it's quite difficult, really. In stabilised mode, yeah, you can just like float around quite easily, but to do tricks and to gain full control of a quadcopter, I think it takes quite a lot of practice.
Depends on what you're used to. If you can fly a plane or you can play video games and things like that, you should be all good. It'll take a little bit of getting used to.
I think actually learning to fly that you can hover it or get it in the air is relatively straightforward. Progressing from being able to fly it to being good at flying it can be very complicated. I would suggest it's much like driving a car on the road and then trying to get into racing cars. It's being able to drive one's easy, being able to race one's difficult.
Would you consider a drone a toy or a hobby?
A hobby, yeah. You get toy drones, the stuff that you'll see sold in supermarkets and things, they're usually more toys. A racing drone, yeah, it's more a hobby. You've got to build it yourself and so many different parts you can use. And yeah.
As the members of DRC said, drone racing is a fairly inexpensive hobby to get into, unless you want to progress. Lately, I've been trying out more sims and have been improving my flight technique by practicing in-game. I also tried to build my own drone recently, rather than buy it ready to fly. This is my first ever attempt at building a drone from scratch. It was quite frustrating when I couldn't figure something out, so I had to walk away, cool off, and then have another go. In summary, drone racing is a sport, a hobby, for people who want to get involved in the future. Now you know how to get involved. Join this amazing community. Try something new, something beyond technology. Drone racing.